Because I got to Australia in '95, had this big black hole of my knowledge of Australian music. So people knowing how much I love ska said, you should listen to the Strange Tenants, you'd really like them. So I did, and I'm like, wow, this is, you know, two-tone happening in Australia.
I went to the cupboard to see what I'd find.
Strange Tenants was formed 32 years ago, back in late 1981. At that period in the UK, there was a second wave of ska, because for those who don't know, ska was originally a Jamaican form of music. And with so many West Indians in the UK, it had always been a sort of birth ground for it, for there. It was against the background of Thatcher's Britain and the rise of fascism in Britain, National Front and things like that. So ska music, as a statement of multiracial music, was a political statement as much as the music was fun and dance and all that sort of stuff. It really stood for something. I think people responded to it because they recognised in our songwriting that it was authentic and it was something we genuinely felt. It wasn't like we were just trying to catch on to some fad. Because in Australia, let me tell you, there was no fad. There were no other bands doing politics and music. Issues of social justice, against racism, inequality, against war. I mean, unfortunately, those issues are just as important today and they motivate us just as much. For a band like ourselves that, you know, we never had the support of any record companies, of the mainstream music industry, because they had no idea what ska or reggae was back in the early 80s when we were playing, and actually most of them still probably haven't got any idea. But we've always been sort of completely independent and survived just on the basis of our connection with our own fans, and that's maintained us. So something as prestigious as the Melbourne International Festival, sort of recognising our contribution to culture and Melbourne culture, music, is fabulous, and we feel really honoured and thrilled to be part of it.
People get ready to rock steady.
Growing up in the Thatcher years was much fun, especially being Scottish, and the two-tone thing happened 79, 80 that came out of the punk, and it just connected with a whole youth, you know, that disaffected youth, I guess. And that's when I first heard the thing ska. I didn't know what it was. I would listen, there was a lot of hits in the charts at the time with the Specials and Madness, and it was a Madness tune that I listened to and I thought, oh my goodness, that's fantastic, what is it? I spent 30 years being a punter, and then about 2003 I got this idea of, you know, putting together the ska vendors. We were sort of the mind that we wanted to get a bit of a ska band that did two-tony Jamaican stuff. I'm really lucky that in the ska vendors I've got such great musicians to play with. I always like to think that ska music, rocksteady music, can sort of take you back a wee bit and look at the simpler things in life, and it's about sharing the love of the music, you know. This is my family, that's the way I look at things, you know. So to be able to put this together with a direct line from music that I love, from listening from two-tone all the way back to Jamaica, to discover that there was Melbourne fellows actually part of the creation of this sound, just showed me the power of the music. And because I'm quite passionately Melbourne and the music here is just fantastic, I thought, how about putting this show together and make that happen? So sitting here talking about it is just blowing my mind.